Good morning, Greater Purpose. Happy Sunday. How is everyone doing? Can we just get a happy Sunday in the comments section? Before we begin, let's do a fit check, an outfit check. I'm going to get on my couch and just show you this whole entire outfit, except the bralette, is courtesy of my father. So thanks to him for the pantsuit and the traditional Indonesian clothing. But yes, if you're feeling yourself this Sunday, and I know that you are, and if you're not, I have to remind you that you are so beautiful. So just a little bit, because I want you to feel yourself, because we're all feeling ourselves here. Okay, let's get started. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Davina, and what else do I say about myself? I'm a dog mother. I have a very small, white, fat dog named Kimmy. I love him very much. I am the Director of Community Relations for Greater Purpose. I'm also the beer can label designer for Greater Purpose Brewing Company, and I identify as a queer woman of color, specifically Asian American. Identity is always something that is really important to me, and I try to hold all my identities with a lot of honor and care and stewardship, because I know that each of my identities and each of the identities that God gives us is a gift and is a blessing. So today I actually want to talk about my Asian identity on the topic of us talking today about the recent AAPI hate crimes. As I mentioned earlier, I am Asian. I don't know if you can tell, but I am Asian. I am Chinese Indonesian specifically. Mostly Chinese by blood and mostly Indonesian by culture. Of course, who I am is heavily influenced by American culture, and because of my different identities, especially the differences between them, I never really felt comfortable or felt like I truly belonged in Asian or American culture. Asian culture to me always seemed to reflect East Asian cultures in media and by the people I was surrounded with in the Bay Area. And American culture, well, it always seemed really white to me, and it wasn't until very recently that I started reconciling with my Asian identity. Growing up, my family instilled very conservative traditional values on me. I was born a girl. I identify as a girl, and of course, in their minds, girls were, well, girls. In their eyes, girls are meek and the weaker gender, more fragile, to be protected and sheltered. From their experience, they taught me what they knew best and advised me not to challenge anyone and give way to anyone who gives me trouble in fear of being retaliated back at, even worse. When the media began reporting on the surge of hate crimes on the AAPI community, my initial response was that of which was ingrained into me as a child. It is one that is so common in Asian culture to the point where it is widely labeled as our culture. To simply swallow and suppress my emotions. To keep quiet and not get involved. There's so much fear behind this response that has been taught to me and so many of my Asian friends as advice from our parents and our families. But this isn't culture. It's a trauma response decontextualized over a time in a group of people. This is the result of white supremacy, and deriving from that the concept of the model minority. We have been rewarded as the model minority, but only through colorism, which suggests that the lighter your skin tone is, the better you are, the more associated with goodness, wealth, and intelligence you are, while at the same time suggesting that darker skin tone people are associated with violence, poverty, and lacking intelligence. And it makes sense that we have held on to this response for so long, because we've benefited from being placed as the better group amongst POC people. We've benefited and historically have been rewarded for staying quiet and agreeing with people in power. But this is survivor mentality, something that has kept our older generations safe, but not without perpetuating harm on themselves and the generations after them, namely us. It has caused us to have this false sense of ego and pride that puts us above our fellow human beings, our fellow people of color. This has caused an expectation that has further created the behavior that our parents and families are to be quiet, submissive, and obedient. it has not only caused us not to speak of our emotions, but also our pain, our joy, our hardship, our passions. Even within my community of Asian friends, I've noticed a lack of community and reaching out and discussion during this time of deep pain, further perpetuating the trauma that lies in our culture of keeping quiet. But I've also experienced the other side of it. One of the first people that reached out to me was actually my friend Teresa. She actually just randomly DoorDashed me some pho one day and just asked me how I was doing, and said that she just wanted to just spread some love in this time of deep heaviness. I am so appreciative of that, because before that I was so numb and so tired to all of the tragedies going on in the world. This just felt like another thing. So I was very, very numb and just honestly very depressed and in a horrible state, mentally and emotionally. But that simple act of kindness and that simple act of community and reaching out, and that spirit of love that she was in as she reached out to me, as she wanted to care for her Asian family, me and her other friends, I really felt that. I really felt that spirit of love and grace and just care, which helped me further on to ask my other friends how they were doing during this time. And I noticed that a lot of them actually said that I was the only person reaching out to them. So I think there's so much evidence already from what I've seen from my friends on this culture of keeping quiet. And I can't emphasize enough how damaging that is on so many levels, not only to the people around us who don't know how to support us, but especially to Asians themselves. I think I've always grown up not being able to fully express my emotions or feelings, or felt safe or comfortable enough to do that. And I've seen how much it affects how I treat myself, my own emotions, and yeah, honestly, just how I view myself. I never really felt like I belonged, because I'm loud, and I'm audacious, and I'm nothing like what people expect Asians to be. This toxic expectation and image of what Asian women are supposed to be, or what they're supposed to look like or act like or sound like. But not only does it hurts my own self-image and my own ability to hold my emotions with honor and steward them, but it also creates so much divide in my family, in my communities, because we're not used to talking about things. We're just used to holding them by ourselves and swallowing it and suppressing it. And I think we have opportunity to change that. But it is interesting holding both respect for what my parents had to endure, what many of our Asian elders have had to endure, what they were taught to survive, but also, on the other hand, holding my own audacity as an Asian American to reject those responses and those fears in favor of learning how to see my skin as beautiful without comparing it to another's, whether systematically defined as above or below. It's hard to see my family being a part of the very system that oppresses them, as they, in not so subtle ways, also perpetuate racism towards themselves and others. They support political leaders who are anti-Asian and anti-immigration, while they themselves are Asian immigrants, and them seeing nothing wrong with the use of the term China virus and Kung flu to refer to COVID-19. It's hard to see them believe they have no power at all against oppressors, especially the women in my family. As for me, I recognize that as an Asian American woman, I have the blessing of feeling safe enough, empowered enough, audacious enough to actually have a voice and allow myself to hold these emotions with honor. But that is also because I have been blessed to be born into this generation, because of the intersectionality of my American and my Asian culture. And I have the blessing of the support and love of my friends, and also the movement through social media. And this feeling of being safe enough to have a voice isn't always common. More so, it's missing in our POC and especially our Asian communities. And this is why I feel like it is so key to continue empowering POC voices. To my Asian friends, we have this gift of opportunity to rise past what has been told to us as advice, accepted as culture. We have the opportunity to empower each other and accept love and support from others and hold our emotions with honor. We hold so much healing power in breaking generational trauma. Throughout these past couple weeks, I felt enraged, tired, I felt numb, I felt offended, disgusted, indifferent, inspired, and as I go through all of these feelings and emotions and experience of all of this, I'm only now learning how to really hold space for myself to feel all of these feelings and tell myself that they are all valid and that it is okay to have these emotions and to talk about them with other people as well. As I believe that conversation and sharing and vulnerability can bring so much healing to a community that feels like they need to struggle alone. Part of holding space for myself is also accepting this confusing mix of emotions, of wanting to respect my elders on one hand, but also my own experience and the need to speak out and want to reach out to my Asian community and strive towards empowerment. Throughout this time, I've learned how to have a healthy relationship with anger. I've always associated anger, as well as many of my feelings, with negativity. Yes, anger, it can be harmful and deadly when uncontrolled, but I've also learned that anger tells us when we or others are being mistreated, and anger faced with honesty and gentle stewardship becomes passion. Passion that I've seen through those who speak out against anti-AAPI remarks and crimes, who fight back literally, metaphorically. I've seen passion of wanting to do better for our community through gatherings of volunteers to patrol the streets in Chinatown, where so many Asian elders have been attacked. I see passion through people who post their feelings, their action plans, or simply ask how their friend is doing. The beauty of justice is amazing, but it is one that we must fight together. There's been a lot of heartbreaking moments these past couple weeks, aside from so many attacks and murders, is what I've been seeing as a response to these events. Martha Stewart posted an image in support of anti-Asian hate. People got triggered in the comments, and I was honestly really shocked and offended. I wanted to laugh because I just couldn't believe it, but they told her to stick to baking and not get involved in politics. But what I see that's heartbreaking about that is that it isn't really a matter of politics. It's really a matter of human lives being cut short and being terrorized against. Not only that, but we're seeing a death that happened, that we saw happened, be put on trial, aka George Floyd. And it makes it feel like we're sitting ducks when there's no accountability on behalf of people in power and the general public. I've never had so much anxiety in public before. These past couple weeks, I've found myself feeling so anxious wherever I go. A nudging feeling of unsafeness and the thought of, oh God, am I going to be suddenly attacked, running through my mind multiple times. Never have I really understood the experience of being hate crimed against because of my Asian identities. In some ways, I'm grateful as it has opened my eyes to the experience that others have faced for years. And yet, this is only the tip of the iceberg, which is why we are called to even more unity with our Black family. It's not an us versus them scenario. It's we're all in the same family fighting white supremacy and this brokenness of this image that there is any race higher or lower than the other. We are fighting this lie of the enemy that feeds into ego and pride, which is something that caused the downfall of Satan himself, wanting to be higher up than God. I still feel so much anger towards people who hold white supremacy as a value. And for a while, I really hated white people. I don't like saying that. I don't like admitting that, because a lot of the people that have shown me love and support are white or white passing. As difficult as it is, we are still in the same family. God has called us to still be in the same family. And I will still hold love for you as Jesus held love for you, but Jesus also kept those he called accountable. It's really difficult, I guess, not letting anger turn into anger, but giving it to God and transforming that into passion. Some days it's easier, some days it's harder. Some days I still feel super angry, upset, and some days I just want to cry. But I want to give this verse to you as a reminder that we are not fighting each other. We're fighting something much bigger than us. And this goes for any race. Ephesians 6:12. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. This is a verse that annoys me a lot, because it doesn't let me hate people. It doesn't let me hate another human being, because I am reminded that this is so much bigger than another individual who may or may not like me. We are fighting something that is so deeply ingrained into us that even I have to admit that I have internalized racism. And I'm doing the work to undo that. And this is the verse that, is just so annoying, but so true, that we are fighting the evil and the brokenness of believing one race is superior over the other. We are feeding into this ego of white supremacy, and we are fighting this division of people, of talking about emotions and feelings and what makes us human. And it leaves us to be alone in our pain, in our suffering, but alone in our joys as well. And we miss out on so much community and so much healing because of that. So friends, let us not allow fear and hatred weigh on our souls. That will only perpetuate more hatred and division. For the enemy works so well when we are alone. The enemy works so well when we recognize each other as evil, instead of recognizing the concept of one race better or worse than the other as the true evil. Let us step into more unity and more love. I pray that we honor and rejoice in this opportunity to step out of survivor mentality, fear, and the model minority identity, and into new life, empowerment, and more community, not only within the Asian community, but also amongst different racial identities. I pray that we see each other and ourselves as beautiful and having place in the whole image of God. I urge you to support your Asian friends through conversation. Ask them how they are dealing with everything going on. Be patient. Remember that we ourselves are battling this generational expectation and trauma. It isn't that we don't have anything to say at all, but rather it has been expected that we don't say anything at all. And now we are called to suddenly speak. I urge you to ask, how do I make this space more comfortable for you? Consider how you can support them and empower them, and simply hold safe space for them. To rant, to cry, feel numb, anything, and know that you will still be there to listen afterwards. In your communities, I pray you hold the spirit of vulnerability and gracious love as you listen for pain, joy, love, hate, anger, passion, numbness, or anything else that may arise. May you live in the spirit of unity, love, and beautiful wholesomeness in the family of Christ as you receive empowerment and continue to empower others. I love y'all. Happy Sunday. I know that it's a really heavy topic, but I'm genuinely praying all of those things over everybody in this world. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and thank you for watching. Much love, grace, and peace.
May the revolution of Jesus go with you wherever it may send you. May it guide you in healing this wasteland and protect you through the storm. May it lead you through this world seeking the justice it demands for you and for others. And may it bring you home preparing to continue love's mission beyond your doors. Grace and justice to you.